Welcome back on the channel, my friends. So in this video, we're going to talk about Zephyr protocol. So Zephyr is a privacy-oriented protocol that has developed their own stablecoin. This is huge because they forked actually Monero and built upon it to have their own ecosystem with a flywheel effect, so you can have a stablecoin and earn yield on it. Although you can just hold it, it's up to you, of course. This is Thorchain. They are having a podcast next Saturday, 6th June, and Zephyr is being invited. The coin already went up since this was announced, I believe 20-something%, which is normal. Right now, Zephyr is at an all-time low, or at least it was, because since this has been announced. So let me go here and show you. All right, so let's move on here on CoinGecko. So you see pretty much they are at the bottom of the bottom, and for the past 24 hours it's up 12%. So when this was announced, this presence in the podcast of Thor network, not long after it went up 20-something%, perhaps even more. So actually let's go here and see how the price moved for the past 7 days. So yeah, you see here at around 4 p.m. it was at its lowest, 24 cents per token, and then it went up to at around 35. And this is the partnership announcement on May the 31st, 12:58. So it didn't take long for the Thor community to pick up on it, and probably that was what happened. People start buying into it. Now Zephyr is very interesting in a number of ways. So like I said, they forked Monero, and I remember I had in a video I did about Monero where I covered how it works and all. I had a comment asking about if Monero was going to release a stablecoin. So with Monero, that is out of the question because Monero is like Bitcoin in the sense that the network operates in a specific way, and for security reasons it was designed to be that way, like Bitcoin, right? But these guys thought about, okay, but we can fork it and then we can create a stablecoin, and they have been around since 2023. Let me show you here on the roadmap. So they launched on 2023. So this is a token which doesn't have also that much wide of a presence when it comes to liquidity in centralized exchanges. There's only a handful of them where you can buy it. For that, let's go here on CoinGecko. Let me go on markets. So yeah, you see there's not a lot. There's 7 total liquidity pools. Some of them are in the same DEX. This couple on CoinEx pair it with Bitcoin, with the dollars. Then on nonkyc.io, you can see it paired with its own stablecoin. But yeah, if you want to buy some, you got to go into these centralized exchanges, and then you should send it to your wallet. So they have their own wallet. This is their official website. You can come here, download the wallet, and send it there to keep custody of your assets, because I'm not sure how many wallets out there do support this token. So yeah, it's best to use their own wallet for that matter. Now, you see there's plenty of tokens here. Zephyr is the native one. You have to buy this and then swap it for dollars. So whenever you do that, you are minting Zephyr stable dollars. And this is the token that you can then stake to earn yield. You will then, after you stake, get these Zephyr yield shares, which represent your percentage of holdings in their own Zephyr yield pool. They explain all about it in their official Twitter page. So let me go here. They have a really good setup video showing all of that. We'll play it at the end of this video so that you can glue the whole thing together. But you can see there's actually 4 tokens in the ecosystem. So they plan to have this flywheel effect. In theory, it's well designed. In practice, let's see. As always, smart contract risk is a thing, but in theory, the flywheel effect is meant to drive Zephyr price up. And as you will see later on in the video, the way that they generate yield is actually by allocating 5%, I believe, of what the miners in the ecosystem mine to be deposited into that yield share pool. So in theory, over time, and accounting for that flywheel effect, Zephyr token price is expected to keep going up. So the whole main narrative behind the Zephyr protocol is the private untraceable stablecoin. That's why they build upon Monero, right? It's the king of anonymous cryptocurrency. And then they have the reserve. The Zephyr reserve backs all circulating ZSD, Zephyr stable dollars, because you do need to buy Zeph to get Zephyr stable dollars. You have to mint them. When you swap them, you are minting Zephyr stable dollars, which you can then stake into this yield reserve pool. As it states here, the yield reserve holds staked ZSD along with the additional ZSD accrued through the yield reward mechanism. They show here how everything works, the stablecoin mechanism, understanding JED in Zephyr protocol. This is what they use to control price fluctuations of the token. So like we saw, the token doesn't have all that much exposure, so it doesn't really surprise me that they are at the very bottom price-wise. There's not a lot of DEXs that have listed it. Monero itself took a huge hit when it was delisted from Binance and several other centralized exchanges, but Monero is coming back. And if you look at the chart, it just keeps going up. So actually better than saying, let me show you. So let's go here, XMR. So you will see that the chart for Monero, it had that dip, but then it started to go consistently up. And right now it's at over $360 per Monero token. All right, so this is the all-time chart. As you can see, in the grand scheme of things, Monero keeps going up. And back in 2020, 2021, when they were delisted, many people said it's going to be the end of Monero, but it has survived. So the difference is that Monero, of course it's the original, right? It's the king of privacy, it's the original, but look at how many centralized exchanges you can buy Monero at. We have 6 different pages of exchanges, of liquidity pools that are allowing people to buy and sell Monero. With Zephyr, we are not at this stage. Zephyr is very early on because it only has a handful of markets where you can buy and sell it. But the whole narrative of having a private stablecoin which is over collateralized, that's really bullish. Regardless, I'm not saying this is going to be the next big thing. I just see that right now in the privacy space, there's a lot of hype around Zcash. But Zcash is more like the mainstream privacy token. It's more hype than anything. I think Monero is the superior asset, and I really like what Zephyr brings into play with the whole stablecoin privacy thing, because let's face it, some people are not willing to hold their funds in a volatile asset. So if you want to hold your stables privately, take a look into Zephyr. It's a very interesting one. So that being said, let me go here on their official Twitter, and I'm gonna run this video. You can also see it on their official website. I'll leave it links down below if you want to go check it out. But let me run this. Maybe you'll understand better after watching the video.
Zephyr protocol gives users access to highly competitive yield on their stablecoins by simply staking their ZSD within the native Zephyr wallet. ZSD, our native stablecoin, and all other assets in the Zephyr ecosystem benefit from Monero-grade encryption, ensuring complete privacy. So how do you start earning that yield? The process is simple. First, purchase Zeph from one of our supported exchanges, then send that Zeph to your own personal wallet. Be sure to back up your seed phrase. Once you have received Zeph in your wallet, navigate to the Swap tab. Swap the desired amount of Zeph for the amount you want in stable ZSD. Select all addresses as default. Preview the transaction and confirm. Now let's gain some yield on that ZSD. Follow the same process, this time swapping your newly minted ZSD for ZYS. And that's it. By holding ZYS, your ZSD gains passive utility, earning some of the best variable APY in the industry. Here's a quick rundown of how the yield mechanism works. ZYS, or Zephyr Yield Share, represents your share in the yield reserve. The yield reserve receives a portion of each block reward, generated by miners in the ecosystem. 5% of each block reward is allocated to this reserve, thus continually increasing the amount. The yield mechanism is a dynamic system. The rewards fluctuate based on the amount of users competing for the yield and the price of Zeph itself. The more users competing, the more diluted their share of the reward. However, an increase in the price of Zeph means more ZSD that is allocated to the yield reserve. So in essence, the yield mechanism acts as a positive feedback loop. Zeph needs to be purchased in order for users to mint ZSD and participate in the yield reserve. In turn, this pushes the market price of Zeph up, which increases the yield allocated to the reserve. These innovative mechanics enable the yield reserve to only trend upwards, the sole variable being the rate at which this happens. So put your stablecoins to work, claim your yield, keep your privacy.
And that's about it, guys. This is what I wanted to share with you. Remember, they are going to have a presence here on Thorchain's podcast Saturday, June the 6th. So if you want to know more about it, maybe ask some questions, go ahead, take a look into it. I really think it's a very interesting one. It does give an answer to the whole privacy-oriented stablecoins. In any case, guys, let me know if this is the first time you're hearing about Zephyr, or if you have some other favorite privacy-oriented project out there. Perhaps you're holding privacy-oriented stablecoins. If that's the case, let me know which down in the comments. I'm really curious to know. And that being said, guys, thank you for watching. Take care. Go check the Zephyr out. Keep exploring crypto, and I'll see you in the next one.